A few years ago, I went to a presentation with a large group of HR professionals. Three of the top human resource leaders in the world, three chief HR officers from three of the biggest companies in the world, they were challenged to do a presentation on the topic of employee engagement. Now, these were obviously very smart people, very dedicated, and they did their homework. What did they come up with? What leads to increased employee engagement? Rewards, recognition, training, empowerment, great leaders. They came up with a standard list of things that would be almost impossible to argue with. These are very smart people. Their ideas made sense. Then they said something that was kind of puzzling. They said employee engagement around the world, around the globe, is very near an all-time low. I started thinking, wait a minute. If everybody knows how to improve engagement, and everyone has known this for 30 years, and we've been measuring it for 30 years, why is employee engagement near an all-time low? Maybe this stuff is not always working. Then I realized something. 100% of the dialogue about employee engagement was, what can the company do to engage you? Absolutely 0% was, what can you do to engage yourself? Well, I'm an American. I can, a little older than probably you are, can remember a speech when I was young made by John Kennedy and had a famous line, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. 100% of the dialogue on employee engagement, I'm not exaggerating, 100% was, what can the company do to engage you? 0% is what can you do to engage yourself? It was all the opposite of the John Kennedy speech. Well, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm thinking, you know what? These people are missing a point. And I think this goes back to something that's very deep in our Western culture. The great Western disease is, I will be happy when. When I get the money, the status, the BMW, the condominium, when I get this, I will be happy. Well, this is the great Western message, and it's supported by what I call the great Western art form. Now, what is the great Western art form? This is something you've seen in your life probably hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of times. It's always the same story. The story sounds like this. There is a person. The person is sad. They spend money, they buy a product, and they become happy. This is called a commercial. Have you ever seen one of those before? The message is always the same. It's not in here, it's out there. I will be happy when. The reality is lottery winners have been studied to death, and when someone wins the lottery within 3 years, statistically, they're not much happier than they were to start with. What's been learned is happiness doesn't come from the outside. Most of happiness comes from the inside. Well, the great employee engagement myth is the employees will be engaged when? When we give them this program, when we do this process, they will be engaged when? Well, that's partially true. I mean, better leaders lead to more engagement, and better recognition leads to more engagement. The reality is also, though, a lot of employee engagement doesn't come from the outside. A lot of employee engagement comes from the inside. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about is, how do you create an environment where people take responsibility for their own engagement, and instead of focusing on, I will be engaged when the company does something for me, take responsibility for their own engagement and say, I can engage myself.